What up, YouTube? It's your boy Marvel of Matter back with another video. And today, what I'm gonna talk about are 3 reasons why a guy will stop texting, calling, just ghost you after sex. Now, obviously, this one is for the ladies. I talk to a lot of women about dating because I want to gather information so I can have a better perspective to bring to YouTube. Talk to girls that I am dating. I'll ask them about their dating experience or their dating history, the best dates, the worst dates. Like I'll ask them all these types of questions. I might ask them on the date, right? It is what it is. I want to gather the information. I ask my female friends if I'm on set, like I'm in New York right now. I just finished shooting something, and on set, I'm asking a girl. I'm like, what's it like to date in New York? Like, what's your experience? Like, okay, what's Hinge like for you in New York? Oh, you're from this place? Okay, well, what was that like? I'm just asking a bunch of questions because I want to get the information. Now, one thing that comes up is guys will ghost women after sex, right? I mean, girls ghost guys after sex too, but that's just not what this video is about. So guys will ghost girls after sex, and women don't know why. They don't understand why. It's confusing. They might be down on themselves, especially if it's happening a lot, and they just really don't understand certain things about men that I think would be helpful for you to understand, so that you're not as confused, right? So I'm gonna give 3 reasons why guys will ghost you after sex, right? Now these are not all the reasons, but this is three that I know for sure are prevalent. So the first reason that a guy will ghost you after sex is that he's just in that phase in his life, right? He's just in a phase where he's not trying to commit. He doesn't want a girlfriend. He doesn't want the responsibility that comes with that. He doesn't want the time constraints that come with that. He doesn't want all the things that, he believes will come with continually being with a girl, whether that be in a serious relationship or just whether that be over like in a situationship, where that still takes a level of commitment, and some guys just don't want to do that, right? So you might catch a guy at that time. Now he might not want to do it just because he doesn't want to do it, or he might not want to do it because he's focused on something. He has a mission, he has a goal, he has maybe it's financial, maybe it's career wise, maybe it's spiritually, maybe it's mentally he's not in the right place, like whatever it is, and he just wants to focus on that, and he's putting himself first. And so he doesn't want to emotionally get attached to a girl. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be because he's in a relationship, but if he just spends time with you and you're cool and you guys are having sex, like it's just naturally going to happen. So the guy, if he wants to avoid that, after the first time he has sex with you, he might just vanish, right? Because if he's on his mission, he's doing his thing, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the urge to have sex. So he may just be like, okay, I need to have sex. I'm gonna go have sex with a girl, and then I'm gonna get back to the mission. And you unfortunately might just catch him at that time. And girls do the same, right? That happens on both sides. Some people are just focused and they want to do what they want to do, and they have urges, so they take care of the urges, and then they go back to business. And this is a society where, because there's no repercussions socially, like there's no shame, we just do it. Like people just do it. And that's just, that happens. So that's one of the reasons why a guy will ghost you after sex. And I feel like guys do this more because, obviously we have a very strong urge to have sex, but guys a lot of times are also more focused on their goals. Like they put that over family, or they put that over relationships a lot of times, more so than women. Not that women don't do it, but just more so. So you're more likely to run into a guy that is doing this than a girl, right? So a lot of girls will not understand this because you wouldn't put your work over love, but a lot of guys would. So first reason. Second reason is because you may just not be his type, right? You might not be his type, and you might think, okay, well, why would he sleep with me if I'm not his type? That's another difference between men and women. Women typically can sleep with their type. You may not be able to be in a relationship with them or tie them down or hold them down or get them to commit, but you can typically sleep with your type. If you're even fairly attractive, you can typically sleep with your type. On the other hand, a guy typically can't just sleep with his type. He might be able to get in a relationship with her if he hangs around long enough and she doesn't really, you know, she goes through a situation. He might be able to get in there and get like a relationship out of her, or he can get her time. He can get her to hang out. He can get her to go on dates with him. He can get her to invest even emotionally, like be friends with her or whatever it is. But the sex part is the part that's the difficult part to get. So a lot of times guys will have sex with a girl because they can have sex with a girl. Right? That's one reason. Another reason, the same reason that you can have sex with a guy that you find really attractive, but it might be hard to commit, is the same reason that he will sleep with you but not commit to you. Right? It's the opposite side. So a lot of times guys will sleep with women that they know that they don't really want, but because she really wants them, they're gonna do it. Because it's like this. Guys have kind of like three tiers, I would say. This is very simplified, but three tiers. So the bottom tier is girls that he just won't sleep with. He's not gonna sleep with them. They're just, you know, repulsive to him, I guess, sexually. The middle tier is like, okay, I'll sleep with her. She looks good enough to sleep with. She has, you know, certain features, her body parts, maybe the way she is, maybe she's very sexual or whatever it is that's attractive enough for him to be like, okay, yeah, I'll sleep with her. But she would not be my girlfriend. I'm not walking around with her. I'm not taking pictures with her. I'm not this, I'm not that, right? Like, I'm not going to claim her. She's not attractive enough for me to want to be with for a long period of time. Like, I just can't see it, right? That's the middle tier. And then the top tier would be like, okay, she looks good enough to be like a long-term thing. Like, I would want to be out in public with her. I'll be proud to be like, hey, this is my girl. You know, introduce her to people, stuff like that, right? That's just the tiers of how it goes. And if you happen to be in his middle tier, he might sleep with you for a long period of time. He might sleep with you, you know, you might be like his, you know, situationship or sneaky link or whatever it is, and he might over time sleep with you. But if you're in the category where it's like you just have certain features that he might be curious about, right? Like maybe he's never been with a tall girl and you're a tall girl and you're willing to sleep with him, and he's like, I never really been with a tall girl. All right, let me be with this tall girl. And he's with you because he's curious, but he's also attracted. That's the thing. It's not necessarily that guys are just like, oh, I've never been with this, I've never been with that. It's like, that's it's almost like a mini fetish, I would say. It's almost like a mini fetish where, you know, guys would be like, oh, okay, I've never been with a redhead. Wonder what it's like to be with a redhead. And then he's with you, and then it's like the curiosity is gone. Or maybe a girl just has like really nice legs, and he's like, damn, she has really nice legs. Like, he doesn't really like her face, he don't really like her style, he don't really like, you know, the rest of her body like that, but he's like, oh, she has really nice legs. So until he experiences that, he has like a desire for that. But once he experiences it, the desire goes away because he's experienced it. So now he's like, all right, well, he's literally no longer attracted to her because that curiosity or that desire for that certain feature has dissipated. And because a lot of guys don't want to have that conversation, that's an awkward conversation. Like, hey, I know we had sex last night, and you know, it was good, it was great, but I was just kind of curious what it was like to be with a redhead, and you know, I'm no longer curious, so I think that we should stop seeing each other. Like, that's such an awkward conversation to have that most guys are not gonna have it. How I would do it if that happened to me, right? It's happened to me for sure. I've been in. That's how I know. I'll say something like, you know, I didn't really feel a spark. I thought, you know, I was feeling you, and then, you know, it was good. You know, the sex was. I'll say, you know, the experience was good, but I just didn't feel a spark, and I really like to feel a spark when I'm with a girl. Now, it's not pre-planned. The guy doesn't know going in advance that, okay, I'm gonna lose attraction for her. He's actually attracted to you in the moment. He's actually like, he's horny and he's turned on, and it's what he wants in the moment. But there's no way for him to know whether that's gonna go away afterwards. But once it does, then it's like he doesn't want to engage anymore. Now, a guy who doesn't have options will still be there, right? A guy who doesn't have options a lot of time will still be there because he's not going to turn down sex for no sex. Most of the time, he's not going to turn down the sex with a girl, especially if she has a body part that he likes, right? He's not going to turn that down. He's really just going to be like, okay, at least I'm having sex. But a guy who does have options, once he has that experience, the curiosity is gone, he's going to just move on because he's not latching on to the girl for sex. And I think this is a big thing that girls need to understand too, is a lot of guys are in relationships and settling down with specific girls, with particular girls, because they don't have the option to get other girls. They don't, whether it's they actually can't get them or they're not good enough with women to really like maximize their looks if they do have them, but they're settling because they have to, right? There are other guys who settle for other reasons. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm gonna do a separate video for that, but that is an issue, right? So a lot of women are in guys' middle tier, and the only way you find out for sure is once he has options. If you're in his middle tier, or if you're the girl that he's like, okay, I want this to be my girlfriend. That's really the only way. So that's a little, nugget for you, I guess. But that's the reality. So if you're in that middle tier, this might be happening to you. And not saying that you're in that middle tier, period, but if you're in that middle tier for that guy, then that's happening. That might be happening. And if it's happening a lot, then you might just be dealing with guys who are out of your league. Like that's a possibility as well. That you're dealing with guys like, because you can get super attractive guys to sleep with you, you do, but you're in their middle tier. You're not the girl that they see as like, I want this to be my girl. And it might not even be that they're necessarily attractive, but they're guys who have the ability to get other women, or to get women that they really want. So if you're not the woman they really want, then they might just sleep with you and move on, right? And that's the harsh truth of, male nature. There's female nature, but there's also male nature, and that's part of the harsh truth of male nature. So that's the second reason that a guy might ghost you after having sex. The third reason why a guy might ghost you after having sex is that the sex was just not up to par, right? It just wasn't satisfying to him. Not necessarily that you're bad at sex, but the things that he likes in sex, the things that get him off in sex, you weren't doing, or you were doing things that maybe to another guy were good, but to him it's like a turnoff. And so if he has that experience, and this can happen to a girl in either of the top two tiers, either the girlfriend tier or the, I would sleep with her tier, right? Even if she looks really, really good, but she's doing weird things, or she like, maybe it's your pheromones. I don't like your pheromones, the way your body smells, or the way you moan, or the way you this, or the way you that. Like, maybe you're not putting enough effort in. Maybe you're putting too much effort in. Like, it's just, if the sex is just not good, he's not going to want to come back. Now, there's a difference between, like, the sex is a little, it's the first time you never really, you don't have that experience together. You don't have that rhythm together completely yet. So you might, the transitions might be a little off or whatever. Like, there might be a couple awkward pauses, whatever. Like, that's cool. But there's a difference between that and like, okay, this is how she has sex and I don't like it. And again, if the guy has options to go to another girl, or to get other girls, and he knows that he can, he's not going to continue to come back to something that he doesn't like. And I think there's not misconception, but there's not really any attention brought to the fact that women can have bad sex. I think women think that as long as I'm having sex with him, it's good. And that's not necessarily true for all women. Some women that is true for. Like, they just have certain bodies or certain, body types or whatever that it feels good. And a guy's going to be like, she don't really have to do anything. She don't really have to try too hard, and it's just going to be good, right? It's kind of like, not the same, but kind of like when a man has a big piece and he needs a little less motion in the ocean than somebody who doesn't have that. Like it's just the reality. Some women are just, they don't have to do as much. But if that's not you, then, you know, I would say pay attention to how he's responding to you. Communicate during sex, right? There's only so much you can do because, you know, you're you. And if it's just not compatible, it's just not compatible. But if it's happening, I would say if it's happening a lot, then it's either that you're picking guys that are out of your league, or maybe the way that you have sex is just like, you know, you might want to communicate a little bit more and see what he likes, because you just being there is not enough for some guys. Some guys it is enough because they can't get sex at all. So any sex is good sex. But if a guy can have sex and he's experienced and he kind of knows what he likes, and you're not doing what he likes, he's probably not gonna stick around after the first time if he's like, bro, this is terrible, right? And that's just another reality. So that's the third reason why a guy might ghost you after sex, is because it just wasn't satisfying to him for whatever reason. All right, so that's the video for today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. Drop some more topics in the comment section. I got my coaching calls in the description box, Instagram in the description box. And y'all know what it is. It's mind over matter, Marvel over matter. Let's get it.